In this video, everything you need to know when booking a holiday to El Médano in Tenerife. This includes the beaches, the restaurants, the nightlife, what there is to see and do, where to stay, the weather and much more. But also a few warnings as well as some money saving tips to make your next holiday here with us in Tenerife perfect. Let's start first with the beaches. The main Playa El Médano runs beside the town and continues towards the Montaña Roja, the section closest to the square, and the center is normally the easiest place for families. The water is generally shallower, the promenade is directly behind the sand, and cafes, restaurants, toilets and small shops are close by. This is the part I would choose when you mainly want swimming, sunbathing and an easy beach day without carrying everything a long distance. As you walk further towards the Montaña Roja, the beach becomes more open and also the wind becomes a much bigger part of the experience. This is where you see windsurfers and kitesurfers together with the schools and rental centers that have made El Médano famous. It is exciting to watch, but do know that you cannot swim everywhere in this area as there are marked areas for the windsurfers and the kitesurfers where swimmers cannot go. In general, if you're just here for the beach, this is not the nicest place to stay all of the time, especially during the more windy periods, as there is a lot of sand blowing over the beach here most of the time. So what about the restaurants in El Médano? Well, this place has a surprising good choice for being such a small town. Around the main square, the seafront and the streets just behind it, you will find many Canarian food places, also seafood, fresh fish, tapas, burgers, Italian restaurants, vegetarian choices and many great casual dining places. Also, what I very much enjoy here is that the atmosphere is generally more relaxed than in some of the larger resorts nearby, and many places serve both local residents and visitors rather than depending only on package tourism. This also means that the prices here are generally pretty fair. Also know that the authentic seafood and fresh fish town of Los Abrigos is not so far away. If you want a change of scenery or want more restaurants to explore, then this is a great place. In this tiny town, there are many great restaurants right next to the sea with great views in a relaxed and friendly setting. Do know that if you want to go here on the weekend, you might need to reserve a little bit in advance because this is also a popular place with many of the locals. So where should you stay in El Médano? Well, basically you have three options here. Either you're staying in a hotel, which is the Hotel Médano in this case, directly next to the beach with great sea views, or you're staying in some kind of surf-focused accommodation like the Playa Surf, or you're doing a private holiday letting, which is most of the time an apartment here. These are basically the only three options you have in El Médano. If you want to see a list of the places I would advise, know you can always find this on my website, where I have an always updated overview as well as a guide towards the best place for your specific type of budget and your specific type of person to stay. So how is the nightlife here? Well, the square and the seafront area become quite lively around sunset, with people eating outside, having drinks and watching the last surfers come in. You can find cocktail bars, casual pubs and occasional live music, but there is no large clubbing area here. This area works very well for couples, solo travelers and families who want a more traditional Spanish evening atmosphere, I would say, without noise like you have in Playa de las Americas. It is less suitable for groups who want clubs until the early morning. But if you're looking for something relaxing and don't mind mingling in with the local population, this is also a great place for your holiday nightlife. What is there to see and do here? Well, El Médano is mostly known for the windsurfing, the kitesurfing and other kinds of board sports. And there are also plenty of lessons for beginners who are willing to learn. But do know that many of the major parks and attractions are a little bit further away near the Costa Adeje, where you have all kinds of water parks like Siam Water Park. There's loads of shopping there. There's also all kinds of other excursions. It's not too far away, but you will not find any major attractions for tourists except for the surfing and the windsurfing in El Médano. So what is the best way to get from the Tenerife airport to El Médano? Well, one option is to take the public transport or the public bus, but do know that this is especially not advised if you're traveling on a Sunday or in the evening, as there are not so many buses going in that direction. If you do want to do so, know that the price is about €3 per person. It is generally much better to book a shuttle bus before online, because it will take you there much more easy. You can also take a taxi, but do know that the taxis at the airport start at a price of around €18, but this is just the starting price if you're traveling in the weekend, especially on a Sunday, or in the evenings the price will go up. And also know that it takes maximum 4 people. If you need child safety seats, if you're traveling more than 4 people, or you're traveling on the evening or in the weekend, especially on Sunday, or you have a lot of luggage with you, it is generally better to book a taxi before online. A taxi before online in this case will cost you €57. Do know that the prices and conditions mentioned here can change, so I will leave a link in the YouTube description under this video, as well as the comments to my website, where you can find the most up-to-date price comparison, as well as the best place to book your shuttle or your taxi. Should you rent a car when staying in El Médano? Well, if you're just here for the surfing, no, then definitely you do not have to rent a car. But if you're staying here longer than a week, then definitely I would advise you, also because many of the attractions that are popular in Tenerife are very close by, but they are hard to reach by bus from here. But also for general exploration of the island, as you are in a good position here to do it from, especially if you want to see the north, the south, all of that Tenerife has to offer, I would advise you to rent a car. If you do want to rent a car, please have a look on my website at checkedholidays.com/cars, where I give you some vital car rental tips to avoid upselling and scams and extra charges. And you can also find a 10% discount code for car rental there. So what is the weather like and when is the best time to visit here? Well, El Médano has the warm and generally dry climate of southern Tenerife, but is one of the island's windier holiday destination. The wind is exactly why the town is so popular for water sports. In summer, especially during July and August, this can make it feel much more refreshing than the rest of the island, while in the winter it can make the beach and evenings feel much cooler than the actual temperature. June and September often give a good balance of warm weather, a lively atmosphere and a slightly better value than the main school holidays. July and August, however, are popular with families and water sports visitors, and the town can feel very busy during those months. If you are coming on holiday here any time of year, it is definitely for the evenings also a good idea to bring a light sweater or a light jumper or a light jacket, just to cope with the wind. Tenerife is a great place, but here follow a couple of warnings you should know when visiting El Médano. The first thing you should know is that El Médano is very close to the Tenerife South Airport, not the Tenerife North Airport. While if you find a budget deal, you can still fly to the North Airport. In general, it is much more interesting to fly to the Southern Airport, as you will save a lot of money on transfers. Another thing you should definitely be aware of is that this is not the easiest place to have a beach holiday, even though it is pretty. Certain times of years there can be very high waves and lots of wind, which make it ideal for windsurfing and these kind of sports, but not necessarily the best place on the island for a beach holiday. Also definitely make sure to follow the guidelines and the designated swimming areas, as not in all areas here you can swim, to make it safe for everyone, especially the people also doing the water sports and the people swimming in the water. As the airport is quite close to here, you should also know that often you can hear some of the planes taking off or landing depending on how the wind is standing, even though it is not so noticeable in my opinion. Depending on the day you can notice it more or less. So who is the El Médano area the best for? Well, El Médano is ideal for windsurfers, kitesurfers, active couples, solo travelers, independent families, and anyone who wants a real town atmosphere beside a natural beach. It is also excellent when you prefer casual restaurants and apartments to large all-inclusive hotels. It is less ideal if you want guaranteed shelter from the wind, luxury resort facilities, extensive nightlife, or a large choice of traditional package hotels. I would choose it for the typical traditional Spanish atmosphere, the water sports, the Montaña Roja landscape, and the feeling of staying somewhere that still has a life beyond tourism. To make sure your next holiday is perfect, have a look at this page on my website, checkedholidays.com/guides, where you can find all the companies I like to travel with, some discount codes, as well as some tips and tricks to make your holiday even better, or have a look at this video.